All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to talk about Final Fantasy IX Remake in this particular video. And the reason why we're talking about Final Fantasy IX is because number one, there has been an immense amount of rumors surrounding this game. We already know that. We've talked about this game so many times and the potential that this game could be made, right? We've talked about this many, many times. But even through all the rumors, none of it has ever pointed to the potential for cancellation or the potential that the game is in trouble. Well, apparently now it is claimed that the Final Fantasy IX remake, that by the way has never been confirmed, is apparently in trouble and is rumored to be canceled. We have an article here from Insider Gaming with that exact headline, and it caught my interest because me as a Final Fantasy IX player, Final Fantasy IX is my favorite Final Fantasy. I want to just throw that out there. I am not one of those people that is on the 7 bandwagon. Obviously, I do like 7, but Final Fantasy IX is the best Final Fantasy for me personally. And I know a lot of people prefer 7, a lot of people prefer 10. Everybody has their favorite, but for me, it was 9, right? So I didn't want Final Fantasy 7 to be remade, especially after I realized what they were doing with the game. And after experiencing that game, I damn sure don't want to experience them remaking 9. But of course, they want the money and they need to do it at this point. But according to a known leaker, the development of Final Fantasy IX Remake is reportedly in trouble, with him also hearing rumors about a possible cancellation. Now, for me, I don't understand how you could have trouble remaking a game like Final Fantasy IX. I don't get it, right? The only way that you can have trouble remaking a game like Final Fantasy IX that has a insanely good, fleshed out story from beginning to end is if you are trying to change things. That's the only way I can see you struggling with developing the game, right? You're most likely definitely changing the combat system. You're probably going to something like Final Fantasy VII Remake. So you're going to action combat from turn-based, or you're trying to change the story. You're trying to change some pivotal moments in the story. You're doing something. You're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. That's the only reason why you're struggling to develop this game. Otherwise, this should be the easiest thing to develop because you have a literal beginning to end. You have the entire story fleshed out for you. Everything is literally written for you to follow, unless you're saying, nope, screw that. We're going to change it and we're going to do our own thing this time to, I guess, surprise people. I really don't know where the struggle could possibly be for this. Most likely, the struggle is coming from changing the combat system. That is most likely where most of the struggle is coming from. Sure, there might be some script changes. Maybe they're looking at ways to kind of expedite the script a little bit because they can't make the game as long since they don't have multi-disc capability unless they're going to do the Final Fantasy VII route, which is go through 3 different games. It's going to be insane, man. I can't stand the idea of what they're doing with this game, but let's talk about it. So, spotted on Gaming Leaks and Rumors, Nate the Hate was recently asked for an update on Final Fantasy IX Remake from Reset Era. The leaker revealed that last he checked, the remake was still in development. However, he needs to do a fresh check to learn more about the current status. Nate added that a month ago, he did hear that the Final Fantasy IX remake was in trouble and possibly canceled. However, he only had one source claiming the cancellation possibility, and they will have to investigate further to confirm. Regardless, the fact that Final Fantasy IX remake is in trouble will not go down well with fans. Oh, on the contrary, I think it's going to go very well with most of the hardcore fans of Final Fantasy IX. I think you'd be surprised to hear how many people don't want this game to exist because, again, we already know what you're going to try to do with this game. We've seen exactly what you're capable of when it comes to remaking Final Fantasy games. And I want no part of it. I want zero part of it. And I already could hear the people who are modern Final Fantasy fans. I hear you. I've heard you in my comments. I've heard you complaining. I've heard you commenting how this is the greatest thing ever and how I don't like Final Fantasy VII Remake because I just don't get the nuance of the story. You fake philosophical son of a bitches. I hear you. I hear you. You're wrong, but I hear you, right? At the end of the day, man, I've seen what you are capable of doing and I just don't like it. I don't like what you guys have done with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't like what you've done with the combat. I just don't like it. So I can only imagine what Final Fantasy 9 is going to be like. I would think that, especially after the success of a game like Expedition 33, I would think that perhaps remaking Final Fantasy 9 in its original vision with modern graphics, right? I think that would be a very easy way to a lot of money, in my opinion, right? I would imagine that making Final Fantasy 9 into a modern version of a turn based strategy game like Final Fantasy 9 originally was, I think that would be a great and easy way to make money. But it seems like you guys don't want to make money when it comes to Final Fantasy. Your last few Final Fantasy releases have all completely flopped as you continue to chase this odd modern audience that they all seem to hate turn based combat. As you continue to chase them, you continue to lose people every single release. Final Fantasy 16 got felted. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth got felted. And the reason why it did is because the bait and switch that worked with Final Fantasy 7 Remake the first game couldn't work the second time because the jig was up. Everybody knew what you were doing after the end of the first game, and people checked out. A lot of people checked out. So I think at this point, Final Fantasy 9 being canceled, I'm all for this. You know, if they are truly canceling this, this is great news to me. It'll just make me want to go play the original even more. But we've been hearing about Final Fantasy 9 for a while. Keep in mind, it's been for a long, long time now. Recently, they just updated a website for the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy 9, which got a lot of people thinking that perhaps they were going to announce the game this year. I don't think that's going to happen, especially if the rumors are true and they're struggling with releasing this game or making this game. Moreover, Square Enix also recently teased the game on its social media, posting a quote from the ending sequence of 9. Additionally, considering how the 7 remake trilogy has performed, a new remake makes a lot of sense. It hasn't performed well. That's the thing. Like, I understand these journalists need to make it seem like everything is a success, but the Final Fantasy 7 remakes have not performed well. The first one performed okay. It performed below expectations, but it was okay for Square. The second one did half of the first one. What do you think the third one's going to do? People, this is the problem. You're making people wait 9 years to get the entire experience of a remake. What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you even think that was remotely a good idea? The only reason why you thought that was a good idea is because you wanted to sell the game 3 times over and hoping you could get maximum money each time for 3 separate games telling one singular story. It's insane, bro. I can go play the original Final Fantasy 7 right now, get a better story with, for all intents and purposes, better gameplay for like a couple of bucks. What would I even care to go over 9 years of this experience? It's wild, man. Sure, there is something cool about seeing the characters from Final Fantasy in modern graphics and modern cutscenes and all that stuff. Sure, there is something cool about that. But that goes away very quickly. And then you start to realize there isn't much to it, especially since they're changing things that made it special for a lot of people in the first place. If you're trying to sell these games based off nostalgia, well, then you need to make them nostalgic for people. These games right now, they're not nostalgic. The first one might have been, the second one wasn't, and the third one damn sure won't be. So you lost out on that. This is why I say think about maybe doing it turn-based for Final Fantasy 9 Remake. If you're truly going to remake 9 the right way. It has a fantastic story, one of the best, some of the best, I should say, boss battles of all time, in my opinion, and some of the best secret bosses, by the way, of all time. Everybody remembers Ozma. Ozma was a son of a bitch, okay? I hated fighting Ozma. And then just to get to Ozma, you had to freaking grind and farm to get a special chocobo that was able to fly. It was very annoying, but still, it was very fun. Ozma was a son of a bitch. And the last thing I would want to see is Ozma brought back in a modern audience Final Fantasy 9. They brought him back in Final Fantasy 14, and it was a pretty epic boss fight, I gotta say. But to see him in 9 with action combat, I would just be like, oh, this is terrible. So I guess we're going to find out, and we're going to see whether or not Final Fantasy 9, first off, is even real, because we don't know if Final Fantasy 9 is even real in terms of the remake. Once we find out it is or it isn't, then we can see whether or not it's going to come out. But I can guarantee you one thing. If Final Fantasy 9 remake is real, it's not going to be the Final Fantasy 9 you remember. It's going to be Final Fantasy 9 for people who have never played Final Fantasy 9. That's their target audience. Square Enix is doubling down, tripling down, quadrupling down. They haven't learned. And until we see something that shows otherwise, like a return to form, I hate saying that, of combat or even storytelling, until we see any of that, I have zero faith in their capability to bring you a true and genuine Final Fantasy IX experience. It's gonna be for people who never played the game. That's who they're aiming for. So you can let me know in the comments down below of this video. What are you thinking? Do you think Final Fantasy IX is even real? And if it is, do you think it's going to see the light of day? And if it does see the light of day, what kind of game are we looking at? Are we looking at the modernity version of it? Or are we looking at a return to form, BioWare style? No, let me stop. Nobody cares about BioWare. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, thank you guys so much. Consider giving it a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.